I'm gonna give you the 3 best supplements to take for wrestling, and we're gonna start right now. What's up, everybody? It's Dane Miller from GarageStrength.com, and if this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in becoming a better athlete, you want to get explosive, you want to be stronger, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that notification bell so we can help you become a champion. So wrestlers love to ask these questions about what supplements can I take to make myself a better wrestler? What supplements can I use in training? What supplements can I use when I'm getting on the mat that are going to help me perform at a higher level? And first, before we even dive into this, we've got to acknowledge that the supplements aren't going to put people over the edge. There's a lot of hard work that goes into becoming a champion wrestler. You've got to do a ton of work on the mat. You've got to do a ton of technical work. You've got to do some endurance work. You've got to do a lot of explosive work. You've got to do a lot of work in the weight room that applies directly to wrestling. So the supplement question sometimes is asked as though it's this end-all be-all, but we've got to recognize that it's literally just supplementing your nutrition. So we've got to take that perspective right off the bat. Then the next step that we've got to do is we've got to understand what are the key elements that make wrestlers dominant. So we know that wrestlers, especially heavier weight wrestlers, have to have more absolute strength. We know that middle and lighter weight wrestlers have to have more relative strength. Either way, when they're in the weight room, they've got to be doing some type of strength work. That next aspect, that next key element is that we've got to understand that wrestlers do need endurance. So they need some aspect of endurance work. That could be live drills, that could be live wrestling, that could be doing some base long endurance work. Maybe you get on the bike, maybe you go for a jog. That could be even interval-based training, anything that's going to help your endurance on the mat. That third and fourth elements are that we've got to focus on speed and reactiveness. So we've got to be very, very explosive. We've got to be able to react very, very quickly. So factoring in doing explosive plyometric work, doing Olympic lifts, doing any form of jumping movements, all of these things can contribute to developing those 4 key elements. So again, we got to go through this: reactiveness, speed, endurance, absolute strength or relative strength depending upon your weight class. These are all key factors that we've got to recognize when we're training. And if we can think about those key elements, now that next step is, okay, what are the supplements that are going to help develop those elements? If those are the key performing elements, we've got to recognize now what supplements are going to help push those key elements so that we can become a champion. That third ranked supplement that I love to have my wrestlers utilize is beta-alanine. And there's a bunch of different science that shows that beta-alanine is a lactic acid buffer. It can help with endurance. It can help with power output under a lot of fatigue. So it can do a lot of work and help wrestlers when they're late in that match. Think about that 4th, 5th, 6th minute when you've got to score. You're on the clock and you need to push your opponent to take advantage of their fatigue. If you're utilizing beta-alanine, now you've got a little bit more energy late in the match. Now, some of the key factors here behind beta-alanine is I recommend taking 4 to 6 grams. Some research shows that if you take 2 grams at a time, 3 to 4 times throughout the day, now you build up a large amount of beta-alanine in your body, and that's going to help you with your performance. Some wrestlers might take beta-alanine once a day. They might take 4 to 6 grams all at one shot. Other athletes might sit there and say, hey, I'm going to take 2 grams in the morning, 2 grams at lunch, 2 grams at night, and it's still going to help with performance. Now, one of the key factors behind beta-alanine is that it can give you these tingly feelings. It can make you feel almost a little bit of a flush feeling. That feeling will go away with time as you are more saturated with beta-alanine inside of your body. But here's one concept. Some wrestlers really like feeling sandblasted. That's almost how it feels. They really like that as a trigger for competition. So some wrestlers like to take an extra dosage when they're going out onto the mat to give them that tingly feeling. So that's something that you've got to play around with. I recommend spending a week or two experimenting with beta-alanine in practice in the weight room, and that's going to help you understand how it's going to help improve your performance in that key match. Coming in at that number 2 supplement, I recommend utilizing whey protein. If you've got a dairy allergy, use beef protein. Whey protein is an absolutely phenomenal supplement that helps increase the amount of protein that you're taking in throughout the day. It's going to help you maintain a higher level of lean muscle mass, and that's a key factor here. A lot of wrestlers love to cut too much weight and they tend to starve themselves. They don't eat well, their body's not nourished, they're not recovering well from practice to practice, and then they start to break down. Their immune system starts to break down because they're not getting in enough protein. And that's where whey protein comes into play. I recommend 2 to 3 scoops every single day. That can give you 60 to 90 grams of whey protein at any given time throughout the entire day, and that's going to help tremendously with cutting as well. If you're in the middle of a cut, you can have whey protein post-workout with some water. That way your lean muscle mass will stay high, and you might be cutting calories elsewhere. Maybe you usually have whey protein with milk or almond milk, whatever it might be. Some people even have it with orange juice, but now you just take out that orange juice or that milk and you can have it with water, so you're still able to recover from those very intense sessions of training. There's a lot of information out there about nutrition, about weight loss, about cutting for wrestling. So what we've done is we've put together all of these supplements and all of these protocols into our in-season and wrestling-based nutrition program. You can head over to garagestrength.com. You can click on the link down below and you can purchase an in-season or a wrestling-based nutrition program to help you become more effective with your supplementation. Now, that number 1 supplement, and I can't wait to hear the groans and the moans. I can't wait to hear, Dane, no way, that's gonna make me bloated, blah, blah, blah. That number 1 supplement is creatine, and I recommend taking 0.1 grams of creatine per kilo of body weight, okay? So the key factors here, we know that creatine can help us increase our strength. We know it helps increase rate of force development, which factors into reactiveness. We know that it helps saturate our muscles with glycogen after a weigh-in. We've seen this from Darren Kandel, from Scott Forbes. These are scientists that have done the research for us. We know it can help with endurance late in a match. Creatine does everything that you need as far as wrestling is concerned. Now, one question that we might get is some people might retain a small amount of water. A lot of dads from the 90s will sit there and say, oh, you're gonna get bloated, you gotta drink a lot of water. And this is this absurd misconception that has carried over from the 90s, okay, from the old muscle mags. And that has been completely blown out of proportion. Now, what I recommend doing is that if you're in the midst of a cut, utilize creatine and analyze if you're struggling to lose weight. If your nutrition is on point and you are maintaining or retaining a little bit of water, now we know, okay, let's back off creatine, because that leads us into that next factor. We know that if we back off of creatine 5 days before a weigh-in, we will lose that extra water weight and our muscles will still be saturated with creatine for up to 2 weeks. So if we take that out for the last 5 days before weigh-ins, then we go weigh in, right after weigh-ins, now we take our creatine, we bring in more glycogen into our muscles, and we can perform better. We can channel our strength, we can channel our reactiveness, we can improve our speed, and late in the match, we're gonna have better muscular endurance. So utilize creatine during the wrestling season. Utilize creatine at all times. It helps with your cognitive ability. It can prevent concussions. It's a phenomenal supplement, and I recommend taking it post-workout with your protein. So utilize beta-alanine, make sure you're getting that protein, and make sure that you're buying wholeheartedly into creatine for those optimal wrestling-based supplements. If you want more information about nutrition for wrestling, you can click on the link down below, head over to garagestrength.com, and we can help you improve your wrestling-based nutrition. If you want more wrestling-based content, you can click on this card right here. Until next time, guys, peace.